All right, let's try this again. Can you guys hear me at all? Are you hearing anything? Because the last 2 or 3 live streams, I spit out some good game, spit out some good ideas, I thought, and it was all, no audio. If you could live a day in my shoes, you'd be completely intrigued by the world, but also a little bit annoyed because I feel like I'm being slowed down. So again, we'll let somebody confirm in the comments that the audio works before I go through some cool stuff again. I don't want to waste my time. And speaking of wasting my time, I've been posting here. I would love if somebody would tell me if the audio is working. Again, we're having some serious issues here where I feel like I'm not being allowed to say my say. And it's not a conspiracy, it's just technical issues. But still, I want to say my say. That's why I'm a big YouTuber. That's why I have 2 football stadiums of subscribers, is some people like to hear when I speak. Not everybody, but some people do. So it sounds like we do have audio. I'll try to speak loudly and clearly. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 26, 2025. People always ask me to give the date in my live streams since other people upload them. I almost never do that just because I forget. But again, today is Wednesday, November 26, 2025. And happy Thanksgiving in advance to everybody in the United States. So great I can actually speak right now. Audio working, everything works. Welcome, everybody. Nobody likes to be slowed down. Nobody likes, when you're the guy who knows the answer in a sense, it's just rude to slow me down. So I got this channel back in January. It was reinstated by Google and YouTube. And since then, we've attracted nearly 500,000 views, organic free views. 500,000 of you guys have, circled back to see what I'm talking about and working on. And I'm very happy with that. That's satisfying to me. You think about it, a football stadium is maybe 60,000 people. We've reached almost 10 football stadiums of people. And if you, add the TikTok numbers, well over 1 million views this year. Well, over to be some little mosquito stuck in the Jurassic Park amber, right? They want me to be that mosquito stuck in the Jurassic Park amber and not change. They want that culture warrior. They want that journalist who covers human trafficking abuses and stuff like Epstein Island. Hey, I did that. I did that. I'm not curious about that area anymore. And one of you guys, Ned, one of you guys, acquaintance of mine, Ned, said you'd be in Miami and that you wanted to meet up with me. I was in another part of the state, so I would have met up with you, but I was just another part of the state and was doing stuff. And you sent me a video about how I'm right about Pizzagate, I'm right about elites being into sick stuff. You don't have to send me things like that. You don't have to patronize me. And in fact, Ned, some of your friends are the reason why I was treated the way I was treated for many years. When my father was still alive, I was deplatformed and treated as the crazy man because I reported on the very real human trafficking abuses of some of the people you know personally, Ned. So I know I'm right about Pizzagate. Thanks for sending me that video showing after 10 years, people like you are willing to accept that I was right about something that I was right about from day one. But again, I evolve like most people. If you're the same person you were 10 years ago, that's disappointing, right? No evolution. So on this channel, I was talking about tech topics before I got sidelined by all that culture war stuff where Democrats try to make it seem like Epstein Island is about Republicans. Republicans try to make it seem like Pizzagate is about Democrats. But really, it's all out there. It's all filth. These people are garbage. Imagine defending Mike Johnson, really any of these people. But imagine waking up in the morning and defending a little guy like Mike Johnson, who is not going to be Speaker of the House for much longer, if I had to guess. But imagine that's your legacy, is, they shut down the government, the longest shutdown in US history, to avoid releasing the Epstein files in a prompt manner. Now, you can argue that the shutdown was about other stuff. I agree. It wasn't just about the Epstein files. But again, longest government shutdown in US history, and one of the big sticking points is that they didn't want to authorize the release of the Epstein files. So again, that just doesn't interest me anymore. And many of you legacy elites who are born into some land, born into some fiat or a little castle in the UK, hey, life's not fair. Life isn't fair. So you get a little bit of a head start versus some of us. I don't have a problem with that. That's the spice of life. It's a little seasoning on top. I don't have a problem with that. And through something called meritocracy, people who aren't born into those weird families can rise also, as I have. And I feel like I should just say it. I feel like some of you guys out there, some of you types who know me from my past, who were wealthier than me, you've got a problem with the fact I'm successful now. You wanted me to be some Pizzagate failure, and instead I have a huge YouTube channel and a jet and a penthouse and an AI startup that's being looked at by some very big companies. And hey, this is who I am. So you send me a YouTube video. You were right that elites are into weird stuff. Hey, I know it. I don't think it. I know it. But yeah, you got to let me evolve. Otherwise, that's not fair to me as a creator. It's not fair to me as a thinker. And when I didn't have this YouTube channel, I was still putting out stuff every week. I was still thinking. I was still researching from that Substack account, which I'll link to in the description in the comment box. That Substack account, nobody gave me a leg up. Nobody gave me any help. I started with 0 subscribers and just started putting the links to that Substack below my videos and stuff. Again, when I no longer had YouTube and just had small platforms like Rumble, I'd put that Substack link. I started at 0. Now we've got like thousands of you get the emails. I think 3,500 people. Nice little boost over there. So I've been saying my say the whole time, and now we just have a bigger platform again. And it's not that I'm running away from any topics. Those topics aren't interesting to me. You can go to other YouTube channels and hear about Epstein Island all day. Again, my life was altered for 8 years because I had the balls to talk about these people. And that subject no longer interests me. The bizarre habits of men in the UK who were born into their money and men in New York who were born into their money, that doesn't interest me. I'm interested in the meritocracy. I'm interested in AI hardware. I'm interested in going to space in a reasonable amount of time. I think there's going to be some obvious video content from the trip to space. But no, we're doing our thing here, and I think we're doing a good fucking job. I hate to sound like Alex Karp or something, or Homelander. I think we're doing a really good job. I don't understand some of the negativity. I talk about some of these chip makers because I'm in it, right? I'm in the trenches. Just like I told you guys about Ethereum when they were pennies and Bitcoin at $80 each. I no longer read crypto white papers. I read about chips. I read, press releases about chips, and I read about circuit boards and the von Neumann bottleneck and stuff like this. This is the stuff by the side of my bed at night, is trying to wrap my mind around how do we switch over to doing computation in memory so we can get much faster responses from local AI. Yeah, exactly. There are already several companies looking at sending data centers into space. The stuff I'm talking about is not nonsense. It's at the absolute cutting edge. In space, you can cool this stuff down way easier. You have better thermal cooling setup than on Earth. And people just don't want it here. People just don't want a bunch of computer racks and the most beautiful parts of the world. Send it into space. And so actually one of the companies I'm invested in, they make SRAM chips, static RAM. So you can't just send regular RAM into space because all the cosmic radiation degrades. You get too much air, too many errors, and then the chip fails. So what you need are radiation hardened SRAM chips. I'm invested in one of the companies that makes them. And these chips can last out there for 5 to 15 years. So you can load a satellite or a little space probe with a large language model like Google Gemma or GPT 20B or 120B. You can load this large language model and then send it out to space, and it can do its own thinking. It doesn't have to phone home constantly. And in fact, if the technology we're building is available by then, which I think it will be, these satellites will be able to talk to each other, almost like a swarm. We call it a mesh. So you have a mesh of these large language models. They'll be able to talk to each other and say, hey, there's something cool over here. Do you want to join me? And then it corrects course, right? And then they just send the really good stuff back to Earth. But there's no need for constant communication because the further out these things are, you get a radio delay. So that's the kind of stuff we're working on. And people, again, expect me to be this little Jurassic Park mosquito who's stuck in the amber and is exactly the same human being I was in 2016 or 2017. And that's not who I am. It's not that I want to cover up my past. It's not that I think my past is insignificant. It's just that I've evolved. And again, I think some of these people just have an issue that I have the resources to do what I want. I think that's what it comes down to. Is they're like, oh, I was born into my money. How come David Seaman wasn't ruined? He talked about our weird elite stuff, and he was never ruined. In fact, he's arguably more successful than us now. That pisses these people off. Hey, deal with it. Just deal with it. Life is unfair at both sides, right? It's unfair because people like you exist, and it's unfair to you because somebody like me can pop up and take away everything you've ever built. But yeah, that's where we stand. And again, people sending me videos or articles. You were right about this. Hey, you don't have to tell me my coffee's good, right? To quote Pulp Fiction. You don't have to tell me how good my coffee is. I know what I'm doing here. Thank you guys so much. God bless. It's been a great year. I'll see you after Thanksgiving, or if not, you'll hear from me in December sometime, obviously, before Christmas and New Year's. But yeah, what an incredible year. Again, they gave me this channel back in January. Instead of falling into pitfalls like anger or unfinished, kind of unsettled business with people who've tried to harm me in the past. Instead of any of that, we kept things very high concept. I shared what I know about the world, which is a good feeling because I don't feel like there's anything in here that the world needs to know. I don't feel like, I don't know. It's a good feeling not to feel like kind of informationally congested. Like, something everybody else doesn't. No, you guys know everything I know. You know my worldview. I've been here for the past 11 months, figuring this stuff out as you guys have, and showing, the videos as we launch these AIs, we figure out how to actually interact with them. I've been very open. I've been very transparent. And these are my interests. If deep space and AI and stuff, if that offends you, just don't watch my channel, obviously. Thank you guys. God bless.